Members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back as we continue with the Central Committee meeting of Parliament, Central Committee meeting number 6. We continue today, October the 16th, with the ministers appearing in Parliament to respond to questions asked by members of Parliament regarding the different ministries. We have with us, again, Minister Lyndon Lewis, but now in his capacity as Acting Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports. And in that capacity, he will be answering the questions regarding that ministry. Minister, I invite you to take the floor and respond to the questions by the members of Parliament. Minister Lyndon Lewis, you have the floor.
Good evening, Honorable Chair Lady. Good evening, members of Parliament. Good evening, St. Maarten. Allow me to start with joining others in extending my heartfelt condolences on behalf of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports to the family of Mr. Wilfred Michael Sprott, known to many as Wifi. Mr. Wilfred Sprott retired in 2020 following his 35 years of service with the government of St. Maarten. To be precise, he started his tenure with government on the 1st of November 1985, and he was instrumental in starting up the school swimming program. During the execution of this program, he was able to impact over 400 students per year. We are profoundly grateful that we had the opportunity to honor him for his many years of service to government and the program that shaped many young lives. May he rest in peace. I would like to also take the opportunity to express the condolences on behalf of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports to the family and friends of Michael Alexander Brown and his partner, Leonora. As a government, we look forward to our young people returning to St. Maarten after completing their studies abroad. We were blessed to have had Mr. Brown return and make his contribution, albeit for a short time. I would also like to take this moment and extend my deepest condolences on behalf of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport to the family and friends of, again, Mr. Brown. May his soul rest in peace, and may their loved ones find comfort in the cherished memories they leave behind. Madam Chair, with your permission, I will now respond to the questions and clarification as posed yesterday by the members of Parliament. Through you, Madam Chair, the questions posed by MP Duran. Options for the proposed transportation system at Jose Lake Senior Ballpark. To clarify, it is not related to the school busing, but an initiative with the government and the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports and Justice for parents to not have to drive all the way into the school area themselves, but for the parents to meet and drop off by Jose Lake Senior Ballpark. The answer, the Ministry of Education current focus is on the full implementation of ongoing initiatives to enhance the busing service, which includes monitoring, improved safety, and security of our students. We are certainly open to exploring a hub system once implementation of these initiatives has been concluded. Through you, Madam Chair, the questions posed by MP Brugge. The cuts affect the truancy department, which actually has 4 FTEs, but currently has 2 truancy employees. Is it the plan to do whatever has to be done to give truancy officers the ability to be able to write fines? The ministry has every intention to equip the inspection truancy officers with the authority to issue fines, but for this, the legal basis must be established. Once a draft law for education supervision, or in Dutch de Landsverordening Onderwijs Toezicht, or LOT, is established and delegated regulations are ratified, truancy officers will be able to issue fines. The draft lot will be submitted to Parliament for decision-making after the further report, or in Dutch, the nader rapport, has been vetted by the Ministry of General Affairs. In anticipation of the approval of the draft law, the Inspection Department has done all in its ability regarding the printing of the fine books and the drafting of the internal protocol on the issuance of the administrative fines. People traveling unlawfully with students. Is there an interministerial agreement between Justice and the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports so that some form of a fine sanction should be given to the parents? Answer: according to the Compulsory Education Ordinance, the school is responsible to notify the Inspectorate of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport when students do not attend school. While there is no interministerial agreement between the Ministries of Justice and Education, parents are required to request exemption from school in connection with traveling. This process is done via school to the Inspectorate of Education. Parents are required to request exemption from the school in connection with traveling. The process is done via the school to the Inspectorate of Education according to the Compulsory Education Ordinance. The head of the school is responsible for notifying the Inspectorate of Education. The breakfast meal program. Public school receives funding, but what happens to the rest? Is the intention that the subsidized schools can also receive the similar program? Department of Education. Funded school boards have not given any indication of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport that the existing programs are not sufficiently catering to their current needs. Current breakfast programs are delivered in collaboration with the private sector and NGOs. Through you, Madam Chair, the questions posed by MP York. MLK School. What are the plans between November and the new school year for the school or building? The school will continue to be utilized even during the painting and retiling, which is expected to be completed by the end of November. There are 3 classrooms unaffected by tiles lifting, which are being used. The retiling project has started and is estimated to be completed in 5 weeks. The 1 cent per liter provision has been cut. As it pertains to the legislation, it reached as far as the money being allocated to the ministry. The entity in which it is allowed to use it was never addressed. What is the state of affairs on that? Contrary to most posts, the cuts are based on expenditures. The 1 cent per liter is an income. Was it cut because it went to another post? Or what was it cut for? The former Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport included an amount of 110,000 guilders in the budget with the title Sport Fund 1 cent per liter gas or diesel. But the legislation was not completed at the time the budget was approved. In conclusion, the budget of 110,000 guilders was not derived from 1 cent per liter or gasoline, excess duties collected. The draft legislation is not yet completed, and consequently, no fund will be generated based on the 1 cent on the gas or diesel per liter. VWO and technical vocational education. What are the long-term vision of the Minister or Ministry of Education to ensure continued access to VWO and technical vocational education, considering the concerns from the school boards that the lump sum compensation system, which is based on the number of students, insufficiently covers the cost of these special forms of education with extraordinary high costs? The lump sum system affects all funded schools. The ministry has prioritized the review of the lump sum system to ensure that all school types are adequately funded. Regarding the enrollment of the students attending pre-university education, the ministry's objective is to increase the student enrollment in participating in pre-university education. The ministry has also engaged school boards in introducing strategies to improve access and effectiveness of pre-university education delivery. Was the lump sum compensation system evaluated by a consultant recently? If yes, what were the findings and recommendations of the consultants? Were these recommendations implemented? If not, why not? If yes, please indicate how. The answer: the current evaluation of the lump sum system has not yet been concluded. The ministry remains committed to finalizing the current review of the system, and the national decree for funding of education to introduce improvements in the funding of education in collaboration with the school boards. There is an increase in subsidy for subsidized school boards, while according to the data, there has been a decrease in the number of students in the primary or secondary schools since 2017. Can the minister provide a reason for the increase? Moreover, the legal justification for the increase in the absence of the increase in the number of students based on the lump sum compensation system. The funding calculations for education use students' numbers and the appraised value of school buildings and the inventory to calculate funding for all primary, secondary, and advanced vocational education schools. The funding of the education is not based solely on student numbers. The increase in educational funding to school boards noted on the 2024 budget amendment is mainly to account for the increase in the personal expenses due to the indexation of salaries, vacation allowance, and the 1% COLA, payments that were not accounted for on the approved budget 2024. Once the draft amendment is approved, the respective amounts will be dispersed to the school boards. One of the main complaints from the businesses is that the education system is not properly aligned with the labor market needs on St. Maarten. What are the initiatives and the educational innovations are the ministry pursuing to better resolve these issues? The answer: the issue of education not aligning with the labor market needs has prompted the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports to focus on several education innovation initiatives aimed at addressing this gap. One such initiative is the Council of Education and Labor Market. This council is tasked with advising on aligning education programs with the evolving demands of the labor market. Their efforts include profiling members who represent both education and labor sectors to foster collaboration and ensure the educational outcomes meet economic and industry needs. What are the plans seeing all the cuts in the budget for special needs or special education? The roadmap towards implementation of the special needs education policy is being drafted. Also, the framework is being developed to solicit funding for students with special educational needs, including indicators used to track progress in meeting these students' needs over time. Furthermore, the professional development program has been expanded to include the special education program. To support the ministry in meeting its goal of ensuring that special needs education is available across all levels of education, the National Recovery Program Bureau, NRPB, is supporting the development of an elusive education training for all in-service teachers. Finally, the possibility of soliciting funding via the Tijdelijk Werkorganisatie, or TWO, for the assessment of physical infrastructure and material requirements and any additional training needs is